My daughter collapsed on my porch, bleeding. Her husband's family called it discipline. My name is Zarya. My life was comfortably predictable until last Thursday when everything shattered in ways I never imagined possible. I was deadheading the hydrangeas along my front walkway, enjoying the late afternoon sunshine, when I heard tires screech against pavement and a car door slam with terrifying force. Urgent footsteps pounded up my driveway, uneven and desperate. Mom. The voice was weak, cracking with pain. I spun around to see my daughter Angelina stumbling toward me, one hand pressed against her ribs. Dark crimson seeped between her fingers, spreading across her pale blue blouse like a nightmare blooming in real time. Angelina, oh my God, what happened? I dropped my gardening shears and ran to catch her as her knees buckled beneath her weight. She collapsed into my arms, suddenly dead weight, her skin cold and clammy against mine. I shouldn't have come here, she gasped, her breath coming in ragged, painful bursts. But I had nowhere else. No one else. Let me see, baby. Let me look at it. My hands trembled violently as I carefully peeled her fingers away from the wound. A deep, angry gash ran along her side, still bleeding freely, the edges ragged and torn. My stomach lurched, and for a moment, the world tilted sideways. We need to get you to the ER right now. No. Angelina gripped my wrist with surprising strength for someone losing so much blood. No hospitals, ma'am. Please. He'll track me there. He always knows. He. You mean Dominic did this? I struggled to keep the rage out of my voice, to stay calm for her sake. Your husband did this to you? Tears spilled down Angelina's pale cheeks, leaving tracks through what I now realized was dried blood on her face. It wasn't supposed to go this far. He lost his temper. It happened so fast. Lost his temper. I felt something cold and hard settle in my chest, pushing out all the warmth I'd felt moments ago in the sunshine. Angelina, this isn't. Please, Mom. I just need to rest. I can take care of it myself. I have first aid supplies in my car. Angelina, honey, look at me. I cupped her face in my hands, forcing her to meet my eyes. This isn't normal. This isn't what a marriage looks like. This is. You don't understand. She pulled away, wincing as the movement pulled at her wound. It's complicated. Our relationship is different. You wouldn't get it. Then help me understand what could possibly justify this. Before she could answer, my neighbor Florence came hurrying across her lawn, her sun hat still perched on her head. Zarya, everything all right? I heard someone cry out. She stopped dead when she saw Angelina. Sweet Jesus, what happened to her? Nothing, Angelina said quickly, her voice taking on a practiced, hollow tone. Just a kitchen accident. I'm fine. Florence's eyes met mine, sharp with understanding and concern. I gave a slight shake of my head. Not here, not now. Let's get her inside, Florence said firmly, moving to Angelina's other side. I was a trauma nurse for 25 years. Remember? Let me at least clean that up properly. As we half-carried Angelina toward my front door, I caught sight of her Toyota Camry parked crookedly at the curb, the driver's door still hanging open, keys dangling from the ignition. And in that moment, I knew nothing about our lives would ever be the same again. Once inside, Florence eased Angelina onto my living room sofa while I grabbed towels and my first aid kit, my hand shaking so badly I nearly dropped everything twice. This needs stitches, Florence said after examining the wound, her professional demeanor firmly in place. At minimum, it needs to be properly cleaned and dressed. Angelina, I need you to tell me exactly what happened. Angelina's eyes darted between us, then fixed on the floor. Dominic and we had an argument. His parents were staying with us for the week. They drove down from Connecticut. I made a comment about his job search. He's been unemployed for 4 months, and he said I was humiliating him in front of his family. I felt my jaw clench so hard my teeth ached. After his parents went to bed, he said I needed to learn respect, that I was acting like I thought I was better than him. Her voice dropped to barely a whisper. That's when he picked up the kitchen knife. The room went silent except for my sharp intake of breath. And his parents? Florence asked, carefully cleaning the wound with steady, practiced hands. Where were they when this was happening? They heard me scream and came downstairs. Angelina's whole body was trembling now. His mother, Constance, she just stood there and said, "Well, maybe this will teach you to watch your tone with your husband, like I deserved it." That woman said what? The words exploded out of me before I could stop them. Florence's hands stilled. "Angelina, what your husband did isn't discipline. It's aggravated assault. And what his mother said is enabling abuse." "They've been saying stuff like that for months," Angelina continued, words tumbling out now like a dam had broken. "Every time Dominic gets angry, they back him up. They say I'm too independent, too mouthy, that I don't know my place. But he'd never actually hurt me before. Not like this." "Never again," I said, my voice hard as steel. "You're not going back there." "But Mom, where would I go? Everything, my clothes, my car payments, the house, it's all tied to Dominic. I can't just leave." "You'll stay here with me. He controls all our bank accounts." Angelina's voice cracked. "I don't even have my own debit card anymore. He took it away." My blood ran cold. "When did that happen?" "About 7 months ago. He said I was spending too much, that it made more sense if he handled the finances, that I'd never been good with money anyway." "And you just agreed to that?" "It seemed easier at the time," she whispered, staring at her hands. "Less fighting, less drama. I thought I was helping our marriage." Angelina's phone started buzzing incessantly on the couch beside her. She flinched with each vibration like it was physically hurting her. I picked it up. 18 missed calls. The text messages made my stomach turn. "Stop being dramatic and come home. This is embarrassing for both our families. If you don't return by tonight, there will be consequences." "Florence," I said, my voice suddenly calm with purpose. "Can you stay with Angelina? I need to make some calls." "Of course." Florence nodded, understanding in her eyes. This wasn't going to end quietly. Not by a long shot. I stepped into the kitchen and immediately called my sister Monique. She answered on the second ring. "Mo, I need your help. It's about Angelina. She's hurt bad. Dominic, he stabbed her." "He what?" Monique's voice shot up an octave. "Where are you? Is she okay?" I explained everything while pacing my kitchen floor, keeping my voice low enough that Angelina couldn't hear the fury in it. Monique let me talk without interruption, which is how I knew she was truly scared. "Listen to me carefully," Monique said when I finished. Her voice had shifted into her lawyer mode, calm, focused, methodical. "Take photos of her injuries from multiple angles. Write down everything she tells you with timestamps. And call the police, Zaria. This is domestic violence. It doesn't matter if she's scared. This is attempted murder." "She won't let me. She's terrified of what he'll do." "Then we make her unterrified. I'm coming over right now and I'm bringing Carmela with me. She runs the Riverside Women's Shelter downtown. She deals with cases like this every day." "Thank you." My voice broke slightly. Mo, his family, they're wealthy, connected. Dominic's father sits on the city council. They act like they're untouchable. Nobody's untouchable when there's blood evidence and witness testimony. I'll be there in 30 minutes. Don't let Angelina wash up or change clothes. Those are evidence. After we hung up, I returned to the living room. Florence had finished bandaging Angelina's wound and was now holding her hand, speaking to her in low, reassuring tones. "I called my sister Monique," I told Angelina. "She's a lawyer. She's bringing someone who helps women in situations like yours." "Mom, I don't know if I'm ready." "Ready or not, we're not ignoring this." I sat down beside her. "Tell me the truth. Has he done other things before today?" Angelina was quiet for a long moment. Then slowly, she nodded. "Not violence, but other stuff. He checks my phone constantly. He has all my passwords. He tracks my location. 3 months ago, he made me quit my job at the marketing agency." "Why would he do that?" "He said my boss was disrespectful to him at the company picnic, that he didn't like how friendly my male coworkers were with me." She laughed bitterly. "I thought he was being protective, jealous in a caring way." Florence made a disgusted sound. That's not protection, sweetheart. That's isolation. What about your friends? I asked. What about Kennedy? You two used to be inseparable. He said she was a bad influence, that she was trying to turn me against him. So I stopped returning her calls, same with most of my college friends. Angelina's voice was hollow. I didn't even realize what was happening until I had no one left except him and his family. I pulled her into a gentle hug, careful of her injury. You have us now, and we're going to make sure you're safe. My doorbell rang. Through the window, I could see Dominic's mother, Constance, standing on my porch, arms crossed, her face set in hard, judgmental lines. It's his mother, I said quietly. Florence stood up. I'll get it. No, I said. Let me. I opened the door but didn't step aside. Constance Holbrook stood on my welcome mat like she owned it, dressed in expensive designer athleisure wear and oversized Chanel sunglasses despite the overcast sky. Where is she? Constance demanded without preamble. Angelina needs to stop this ridiculous performance and come home immediately. She is home, I replied, blocking the doorway with my body. And she's staying here. Don't be absurd. She's being melodramatic over a minor incident. Constance tried to peer past me into the house. In my day, wives didn't run to their mothers every time their husbands got a little firm. A little firm. The words tasted like acid on my tongue. He stabbed her with a kitchen knife. It was a regrettable accident during a heated discussion. Dominic feels terrible about it, naturally. But Angelina has a tendency to exaggerate things for attention. Before I could respond, Florence appeared at my shoulder. I'm a registered nurse with 30 years of ER experience. I've seen the wound. That wasn't an accident. It was a deliberate, forceful act. And I'll testify to that in court if necessary. Constance's eyes narrowed behind her sunglasses. And who are you? Someone who's about to help your daughter-in-law file assault charges and obtain a restraining order, Florence said evenly. Constance's face flushed red beneath her expensive makeup. You people are blowing this completely out of proportion. The Holbrook family has been prominent in this community for 3 generations. We believe in traditional marriage values. Sometimes a husband needs to remind his wife who's in charge. By stabbing her? I felt my control slipping. By establishing boundaries, Constance corrected coldly. Angelina has always been too headstrong, too independent. Dominic was simply trying to guide her toward being a better wife. If she had listened, none of this would have happened. Are you seriously blaming her right now? Florence stepped forward. For being stabbed? I'm stating facts. Marriage requires submission from wives and leadership from husbands. That's how it worked in my marriage for 42 years, and it's how it should work in theirs. Get off my property. I was shaking with rage now. Right now. Not without Angelina. Constance's voice turned sharp. She's an adult making her own choices, Florence stated firmly. And right now, she's choosing safety over your son's violence. Constance's smile was thin and cruel. This won't end well for any of you. The Holbrooks have connections throughout this city, the mayor, the police chief, judges. You have no idea who you're dealing with. Is that a threat? I stepped closer. It's reality. Angelina has nothing without Dominic. No income, no assets, no prospects. She should be grateful my son is willing to take her back after this embarrassing display. Get out. I pointed toward the street, my hand shaking. Before I call the police myself. Constance adjusted her sunglasses. You'll regret this, all of you. She turned on her heel and walked back to her silver Lexus, parked at an angle in my driveway like even her car believed it was above the rules. I slammed the door and leaned against it, breathing hard. I recorded all of that, Florence said quietly, holding up her phone. Witness intimidation. That's a crime. Behind us, Angelina was crying softly on the couch. But when she looked up, there was something new in her eyes. Determination. 30 minutes later, Monique burst through my door with Carmela Santiago, a compact woman in her 50s with kind eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. They immediately went to work. Angelina, Carmela said, sitting beside her, I need you to understand something. What happened to you isn't your fault, and it's not going to get better on its own. I know that now, Angelina whispered. After hearing his mother, the way she talked about me, like I'm property. I can't go back there. Good. That's the first step. Carmela pulled out a tablet. Now, I need to document your injuries and take your statement. Is that okay? Angelina nodded slowly. While Carmela worked with Angelina, Monique pulled me aside. I've already contacted a detective I know, Grace Moreno. She specializes in domestic violence cases. She's on her way. Thank God. I felt some of the tension leave my shoulders. Montag, I am scared. These people have money and influence. What if they... Money doesn't put you above the law, Monique interrupted. We have evidence, witnesses, and a victim ready to cooperate. That's more than most DV cases start with. My phone rang. Dominic. I showed Monique the screen. Answer it, she said. Put it on speaker. I took a breath and answered. Where is my wife? Dominic's voice was cold, controlled, the voice of someone used to getting what he wanted. She's safe. Away from you. Zarya, I don't know what Angelina told you, but she's exaggerating. You know how emotional she gets. I saw the wound, Dominic. There's no exaggerating a stab wound. A pause. That was an accident. Things got heated, and she moved the wrong way. I would never intentionally hurt her. She moved the wrong way into a knife you were holding? Monique interjected. That's your story? Who is this? Dominic's tone sharpened. Monique Martinez, attorney at law, and I'm recording this conversation, which you've now been informed of. This is insane. Look, Angelina's my wife. We had a fight, couples fight. This is a private matter. Aggravated assault isn't a private matter, Monique said calmly. It's a felony. You're turning nothing into something. My mother already told me you people were overreacting. Your mother was just here, I said. She told us Angelina deserved what happened, that she needed to be put in her place. My mother is old school. She doesn't mean it the way it sounds. How exactly should we interpret wives need to submit to their husband's authority? Monique asked. Dominic's breathing grew louder. Put Angelina on the phone now. Angelina had been listening from the couch. She stood up, steadier now, and took my phone. I'm here, Dominic. Baby, come home, please. I'm sorry about what happened. Work stress, my parents visiting, it was too much pressure. But I love you. We can fix this. You stabbed me with a knife while your mother watched. It was an accident. And then she said I deserved discipline. Like I'm a child. Like I'm not even a person. She's from a different generation. Stop making excuses. Angelina's voice cracked. I'm filing for divorce, Dominic. And a restraining order. The line went dead silent. Then, you're making a huge mistake. Detective Moreno walked through my door at that exact moment. 6 months felt like 6 years. Detective Moreno had arrested Dominic that same evening. The evidence was overwhelming. Photos of Angelina's injury, the recording of Constance's threats, text messages showing Dominic's controlling behavior, and testimony from friends who'd watched him systematically isolate Angelina. Dominic's expensive lawyers tried everything. They claimed it was an accident, that Angelina was unstable, that she was vindictive after Dominic had tried to help her with her spending problem. They painted him as a concerned husband dealing with a difficult wife. But the prosecution had Florence's medical testimony, the recorded phone call, and Angelina's bank records showing complete financial control. When Dominic violated the restraining order by showing up at my house at 2 in the morning 3 weeks after his arrest, screaming for Angelina to come outside, my security camera caught everything. Now, we sat in the Westfield County Courthouse as Judge Thompson delivered the sentence. Mr. Holbrook, you have been found guilty of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Taking into account the severity of the injury, the pattern of controlling behavior, and your violation of a restraining order, I hereby sentence you to 3 years in state prison, followed by 5 years probation. Additionally, the restraining order will remain in effect for 10 years following your release. Dominic's face went white. His father, sitting behind him, made a strangled sound. Constance dabbed at her eyes with a handkerchief, but her expression was pure fury. Outside the courthouse, Constance and Vincent Holbrook intercepted us on the steps. "I hope you're satisfied," Constance hissed at Angelina. "You've destroyed a good man's life over one mistake." "He destroyed his own life," Monique said sharply, "when he chose violence." "This vendetta of yours has cost our family everything," Vincent added, his voice tight. "Our reputation, Dominic's career prospects, our standing in the community." "Your son cost you those things," Carmela said calmly. "Not Angelina." "You were supposed to be family," Constance said to Angelina, her voice dropping to something almost pleading. "We welcomed you. Gave you everything. You could still make this right. Tell the judge you want to modify the sentence, that you've reconsidered." "You welcomed me into your family as property, not a person," Angelina interrupted, her voice strong and clear. "You never wanted a daughter-in-law. You wanted a servant for your son." "How dare you?" Vincent stepped forward, and immediately 3 people moved between him and Angelina, me, Monique, and Detective Moreno, who'd come to see the case through. "I wouldn't," Moreno said quietly, her hand resting near her badge. "Threatening her now would be incredibly stupid." "You can't intimidate us anymore," Angelina said. "I'm not the terrified woman who thought she deserved your son's discipline. I know what I deserve now, and it's not him." Constance's face twisted. "You'll regret this. You're nothing without the Holbrook name." "I'm not nothing," Angelina said firmly. "I never was. That was just another lie you all told me." The Holbrooks retreated to their car, and for the first time in months, Angelina smiled, a real, genuine smile. "How does it feel?" Florence asked. "Like I can finally breathe again." That evening, we gathered at my house for a small celebration. Angelina, Monique, Carmela, Florence, and Detective Moreno. The team that had fought together and won. "To justice," Monique raised her wine glass. "To new beginnings," Florence added. "To finding my voice," Angelina said softly. We clinked glasses. I watched my daughter, really looked at her, and saw someone I barely recognized from 6 months ago. The hollow-eyed, trembling woman who'd collapsed on my porch had been replaced by someone stronger, more present. She'd gotten her job back at the marketing agency, found a small apartment across town, and started therapy twice a week. "I start my advanced digital marketing certification program next month," Angelina announced. "The one Dominic said was a waste of money." "That's wonderful," Carmela beamed. "You're rebuilding your whole life." "I couldn't have done it without all of you," Angelina looked around the room, her eyes bright with unshed tears, happy ones this time. "Especially you, Mom. You never once suggested I work it out with him or give him another chance." "Some things don't deserve second chances," I said firmly. "Some lines, once crossed, can never be uncrossed." Detective Moreno nodded. "Cases like this don't always end well. Your courage to follow through might help other women come forward, Angelina. The Holbrook family's influence made this highly visible. Other victims will see that wealth and connections don't put abusers above the law." "I got an email from a woman yesterday," Angelina said quietly. "She said she'd been married to Dominic's brother, that he did similar things to her, but his family convinced her not to press charges. She said seeing me stand up to them gave her the courage to leave her husband." We sat in thoughtful silence for a moment, letting that sink in. "What about you, Zaria?" Florence asked. "How are you holding up?" "I'm okay," I said. "Better than okay. I got my daughter back." Later, after everyone had left and Angelina had driven home to her new apartment, I sat on my porch with a cup of chamomile tea. The hydrangeas I'd been deadheading that day looked healthy, blooming despite the chaos that had erupted beside them. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. "This isn't over. The Holbrook family takes care of its own, and you've made an enemy. Watch your back." I stared at the message for a long moment. Then I took a screenshot and forwarded it to Detective Moreno with a simple note, adding this to the file. "Some people never learn." Constance and Vincent would probably spend years trying to rehabilitate Dominic's image, rewrite the narrative, paint Angelina as the villain. They'd tell anyone who'd listen that their son was the real victim. But we had the truth. We had the court records, the conviction, the restraining order. We had Angelina's strength and her survival. And most importantly, we had each other. The sun was setting over my quiet neighborhood, painting everything in shades of gold and orange. Tomorrow, Angelina was coming over for Sunday dinner, something we'd started doing every week. She was bringing someone from her therapy group who needed support. The cycle continues, I thought, but this time we're breaking it instead of perpetuating it. And that made all the difference.